Hello, everyone. Welcome in. I actually have to go run and do something real quick. So, happy Friday, Blake. I'll be right back. I just forgot. I need to close some doors. That was poor planning on my part. Hello, Eric, Brian. Speaking of Brian, I sent out a package to you yesterday, so I think you probably will get it on Saturday. Some more pen bodies, so. Did that just change? Oh. I might have just screwed something up. Hi, Sean. Hi, Bob. Bob. Hello, Chris. All right, well, it looks like everything's good. My my streaming software is acting all crazy. Retro, hello, church boy. Afternoon. All right. Apparently everything's running fine, even though like my screen that I see that shows the actual stream is down. That's why I keep looking over to the left because I've got the YouTube screen on my other monitor and it shows everything over there good, but my screen over here that I normally run everything from is all screwed up. So we're going to continue as if nothing is wrong, and then if something happens later on, I might have to like close the stream and restart it. But happy Friday, everybody. If you haven't, go ahead and fill out the form that's pinned like we always do when we do a giveaway. So there's a pinned form. Yeah, I don't try to do the whole hit the like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Like, most everybody is going to be here that's going to be here. But yeah, please fill out the form that's or the Google form, excuse me, that is pinned at the top of the messages so that you're entered to win the giveaway. We'll go ahead and wrap that up at the end of the stream. I don't have a ton of stuff to go over. A few things. We'll talk about Jowo nibs. We'll talk about some Ultem stuff. Hi, Lopan. Hi, cornbread. Hey, cornbread. Yum, that makes me hungry. I like cornbread. What else are we going to talk about? Cerakote news. I think that's all, and then the Q&A towards the end again. So that's kind of what's on deck. We'll give it like 1 or 2 more minutes before I get started with my plan stuff. So if you have any like early stream questions before we get started that I can answer real quick, I'll answer your questions. Otherwise, hello, Scott. Otherwise, we'll just wait for a couple of minutes and then we'll jump right into things. Yeah, it's going to be yay for Cerakote. Yeah, I agree. I like having that stuff here. It seems to sell pretty good. Plus, the pens feel a little bit different. I like using, that's what I'm using right now, a Cerakote modal. So I think it's probably my favorite finish on the aluminum stuff. Yeah. All right, we'll go ahead and jump right into things. Okay. Do I have one of the blue cubes? Not in here with me, but I can, before the Q&A, I can go grab one, Chris, and bring one in here, if you want to see it. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start stuff off. I'm going to talk about Jowo nibs. So if you're not a fountain pen person, I apologize. This is kind of more for fountain pen people. We haven't had a lot of fountain pen. Well, I mean, I guess we have had some fountain pen news, but so if you've noticed, we've added Jowo nibs to the Ultem Decograph and the brass and copper Decograph specifically as of what? The release of the Ultem Decograph, basically. So we've kind of, if you've been with us long enough, you know that we've kind of like gone back and forth on whether or not we were going to stock Jowo nibs or use them specifically. When we first started doing fountain pens, we considered using them. I just say it Jowo because like it's German and that's how you would closely pronounce the J and the V. It could be something else. I've heard it pronounced a bazillion different ways. So we've considered stocking them for quite some time and just never really, because we were in the beginning, we landed on using Schmidt nibs, which was kind of a mistake. And then we pivoted after a year and a half of using Schmidt nibs to Bach. So I think so, but we still get asked, are you gonna ever have pens with Jowo nibs? And there's a couple of different reasons why we didn't do it, and it's still kind of one of those things where we still are not ordering them directly from Jowo. We have to buy them from their distributor. So part of the reason, and that was part of the reason, is because it's significantly more expensive when we buy from a distributor, like 3 times more expensive to buy a steel nib from the U.S. distributor than it is to buy Bach nibs directly from Bach. So that kind of gives you an idea of the price difference in the nib itself. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but it's part of the reason why the Jowo version of the Ultem Decograph is more expensive, like than it would be for the Bach. So that's kind of was the main reason why is we needed to have the ability to order as much quantity as possible when we initially got into fountain pens and began to scale quickly. And by that I mean like 1,000 of every tip size per order per nib. So that's kind of difficult when you're buying from a distributor who, I don't know what Brian at Meister Nib stocks and what quantities he does. I know that when we order from Bach, sometimes they don't actually stock them in that quantity. Like they make them to order for us 9 times out of 10. So it takes some time even when we order from Bach. We order those big quantities. So if we were doing the same thing with Jowo and we had to order through Brian, and then he had to pass that along, there's a lot of different factors that go into deciding on what to choose, and going straight to the source is always going to be more efficient for us. So that was the main reason why we went with Bach. We knew we were going to be ordering large quantities of nibs for our fountain pens because we were scaling so fast. Part of the reason that we have added Jowo now is because of the retraction in the market in terms of pens and fountain pens in general. We have the ability now to take some time and expand into the Jowo nibs and basically machine grip sections specific for those nibs. We don't need to have a ton of them in stock at all times. We can survive longer lead times on those arriving to us. And we're not significantly marking up purchases with the Jowo nibs. I think it's like a $5 upcharge, which is, it's basically bringing down, it basically evens out with it's just to cover the extra cost of the nib that we have to pay for those. And if they become super popular, there might be an option for us to get them directly from Jowo. I know that other manufacturers that order in really, really large quantities go directly to Jowo. So we're not trying to cut in on the distributor, on Brian's distribution. Like, we don't want to sell those nibs like he does. We don't want to be a distributor. We just want to be able to source as many as we need for our customers. So we made the decision a couple months ago, probably about the beginning of the year. Bill and I sat down and basically we were going over different things, and I was like, hey, this is kind of like the time to probably look into adding Jowo nibs to some of the pens that we're going to manufacture this year. Do you think we could do it? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of the reason why we did that. And what we've done since then is basically not prioritized, but kind of built into future manufacturing runs where we're going to do a smaller number of grips in the Jowo with the Jowo threading. So that was the way that it was with the Ultem decagraphs. About a quarter of the grips that we made total for all the Ultem were made with the Jowo threads, and the three quarters were made with Bach threads. We've sold out of those for the second time because we went and added more, so we added basically another batch of the Jowo grips. So we've added another, it was 2 times the size of the first batch. So a significant amount of Jowo grips were machined basically over the next few days to sell more of those. And I think we're not sold out right now. I think we have 10 Jowo grips left. So we have a few of them for the Ultem decograph. However, that basically kind of moves into like the other pens that we're going to be doing. We're going to be manufacturing more inks, so there will be ink grips added. I don't know in what materials yet. That will be Jowo ink grip sections, so you'll see some inks with the Jowo grips. For the time being, we will not have Vertexes with Jowo grips. It's very unlikely that we'll have those because we're having those. We actually are having those made. I have some here, some plastic ones that we're going to machine as soon as we have a free machine. We're going to make those because we're having those basically molded to size, and then we finish the outside. We cut the outside to. They're oversized. They're molded oversized. So then we basically on a lathe we cut the profile on the outside, and then we do internal machining on the inside. But because they're molded, they don't have enough like room inside they're molded specific to the Bach nibs, and if you know the difference between the two, you can't put a Bach or a Jowo in a grip section that's been made for a Bach. There's not enough. The diameters are wrong, so like we can't even change the machining on that because they're molded. For grip sections, for some of the Vertex grip sections that we manufacture in house, like the Ultem. So when we do the Ultem, we actually make those. We don't have those molded. We machine those. We may have some of the Vertex, the Ultem Vertex with the Jowo nibs for those, and then when we do more aluminum Vertexes, some of those will be made with Jowo grips. This kind of like segues into showing off the next pen, the next fountain pen. Well, I guess it's not just a fountain pen; it can also be a rollerball that we've got. So I'm going to go ahead and so this is the official release. This should be coming. Kind of this is a teaser, like this is coming like next week most likely. We're going to switch over here to this screen. So if you're once this so next week we're going to be releasing the ink in Ultem with both Bach and Jowo nibs. So this is the official release, our official statement. The Ultem, we've changed some things to make it viable, so that the clip functions properly. But yeah, so what you're looking at are like the 3 current Ultem pens, Ultem fountain pens. So all of our fountain pens going forward will be made out of Ultem. This one is a Bach. So, and it has a black aluminum grip section, but it's going to have, there will have Ultem grip sections when we go to release it in both the Bach and the Jowo nibs. So one of the things that we did in order to make this a viable solution, we basically are we've adapted the clips, and basically instead of threading through the clips, the screws threading through the clips into the back side of the clip of that little slot, now the clip holes are threaded, and then basically the screw is threading through a machine, the hole in the front side, and into the clip, and then in all the way through, and then into the back of the other side of the material, the Ultem material back here. So we've tested it. It's pretty robust, especially for a plastic, quote unquote, a non-metal fountain pen. It is relatively strong and robust right there. We think it's stronger than most other clipped thermoplastic pens that we've tested. So like there is a lot of strength there, so you can kind of, if it gets caught on something, or it's relatively durable. This also means that we will be moving forward with Delrin inks as well. So the Ultem ones are done. We're just in the finishing process on those, and then wrapping up the grip sections. The inks are the Delrin version of the inks are on the machines now, and we're basically tweaking in the programming to be able to machine them correctly. The hardest part that we have with machining Delrin, specific to these pens, is because the wall thickness, especially on the caps, is relatively thin. We had to like adjust how we machine the caps so that we're not like crushing them or anything, and because Delrin flexes a little bit, there is some of that give and take when we machine the inside and the outside, where it moves around a little bit more than Ultem does, or any of the metals. So we're going a little bit slower on the Delrin stuff than we did on this, or we would on something else. But that's largely just due to the fact that we have to kind of adjust things. I'm hoping that we have those ready by the end of the month. So the part of the reason that looks matte is it's because that's not a finished. That's straight. Like I basically just took those off the machine, washed that one, and then so it hasn't had any of the post-processing stuff done to it. It hasn't been sanded and it hasn't been polished. For the time being, I don't know that we're going to release anything in that finish. Adam, yes, yeah, we will have the rollerball versions of these available when we release these. At least only for the Bach version, because that's the rollerball kits that we have, which doesn't really matter. Like if you're doing a rollerball setup, that's fine. That doesn't really matter which version it is. But yeah, that finish is just that's the straight off the machine finish. It does well. That one, it looks nice from like afar, but like if I were really to like show you everything on it, there is some surface issues with that pen that have to be like sanded off. Like there is some tool scratching on the outside of it, and there's some material, like weird material marks that may like can't see it, but there's like spotting basically that when we sand it, that goes away. And then once it's sanded, in order to get rid of the sanding marks, it has to be polished in some way, shape, or form, whether it's polished by hand or polished in a tumbler. And we do a tumbler version just because we can put them all in there and tumble them. So in the event that we get a decent amount of caps and bodies that are raw off the machines and don't have any kind of major flaws, we may in the future release a matte version of that pen. I prefer the matte version the best too, but currently the majority of the pens that we're getting have some type of small issues with them where they really need to be sanded. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that we release some that haven't had our finishing process done to them. Especially with the inks. I don't know. I'm going to look at them after we wash them all this upcoming week and see if we potentially have 10 or 15 of them that we can sell as just the raw matte finish instead of doing the tumbled version of them. I prefer that finish because it feels a little bit better. I actually prefer that finish on the grip. I don't really care about the grip. The grip with the raw finish just feels better. The other finish, it's not slippery. It's definitely not as slippery as some of the aluminum or the brass and copper. It just, I don't know, like it feels a little bit more tactile. Is there a reason the grip section was made Ultem? No, so Retro, that one I just threw together. I didn't have any Ultem grips, so that one will have an Ultem grip. All of the Ultem Vertexes that we released had either Ultem grips, or you had the option to buy it with like a plastic or one of the polycarbonate ones. Except maybe at the end we had a few, because we ran out of polycarbonate grips and Ultem grips. When we make the next batch of Ultem Vertexes, they'll have Ultem grips made with them, made to order with them, basically. We just ran out of, we didn't have as many grip sections for the Ultem Vertexes as we had bodies. But yeah, the grip on the ink was aluminum just because I grabbed the aluminum grip and I liked that it contrasted with the black clip. Or they're both black, so they looked good together. Okay. Oh boy, we need that. So the next kind of thing besides that is we are going to do Cerakote modals, the first, and pocket modals. The first two colors have been sent to the Cerakote applicator this last week. I took them over there. The initial release will be Monster Green and the Eggshell Blue. Those are the two first colors, mostly because those are the colors that I could get the fastest. We do have plans to do the Desert Tan as well, plus, I don't know, another color that I have to look through all of the ones that we released and see which one kind of makes the most sense. But as of right now, there are two batches of modals over there getting Cerakote applied, hopefully soon. When I went over there and dropped them off, our applicator is not very busy currently, but he has a big job coming up. So I'm hoping that he can do our stuff before he does the other one. That way we can get them back faster, and I don't have to wait. Otherwise, in the past when we've had to wait, it's been like 6 weeks, which is kind of a pain in the butt. So yeah, we've done almost all the pens that we've done in Cerakote in the eggshell. We did inks, we did bolts, we did multiple releases of the bolts. We did, I think, a couple different versions of the EDK. We did fountain Ks and render Ks. We've basically done everything. I think the only pen that we haven't done with the eggshell is the retract, maybe. We haven't done very many retracts in Cerakote at all. I think that's even lower numbers than we did of the render K and the fountain Ks. So there's fewer Cerakote, but we have done quite a bit of the eggshell. The eggshell was a really popular color. So is the Monster Green, which is why we chose those two to start off with. We tossed around doing the darker teal color. Standard grips. So the pocket modals are, I'm trying to think. The pocket modals are the regular rings, and I think frags, and then the regular size modals are standard and frag as well, something like that. I don't remember specifically. So you're gonna have to wait. I don't know exactly what we sent over there. So I sent over. Okay, let me regroup. I'm thinking in my head. I sent over pocket modals, which just have rings, that are going to get the eggshell, and the standard modals, just the regular, no grip profile for eggshell blue. And then the green is the standard ringed pocket modal, and then frag, the larger size modal, is going to be in the green. I'm kind of having a mix and match, or not mix and match. I don't have a lot of options to choose from. We still don't have a lot of different grip sections available in aluminum. So it's basically like, what do I have right now? Okay, I have frag, standard, like the standard size modal with frags, and then I have pocket modals. The aluminum, like EDK bodies, basically. I don't really have anything else. Like, we don't have any dragon skin stuff. I don't have any fluted stuff right now. Yeah, so I think we have one. The Monster Green is going to have frag on it, and then I don't know what. I haven't planned out the Desert Tan stuff, so. I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure that's what I have. Pink. We will do some pink stuff. We will do some desert stuff. We will do some distressed stuff. I don't know if we were going to do some distressed modals this batch, but I didn't have enough ready to go to do the distressed stuff yet. That takes a little bit longer, so I wanted to try to get these back as quickly as possible, but we will do the distressed. Probably the original one, which is like the bronze with black over the top. I would imagine we'll do those maybe with the next batch, but it could be like batch 3 that we send out will have distressed stuff. I don't know. The pink one is, I don't remember what pink he has available. He only does one pink because the other ones he doesn't like because he complains about them. And I let him pick when he has a difficult color. I don't want to have to deal, like he gets a little grumpy. So I'm just like, whatever pink works for you, we'll take it. It was distressed. We called it distressed, but it was like a bronze undercoat and then black, like that was distressed off of it. So yeah, that's kind of like the steampunk version. I think that we released a bunch of bolts. Those are the bolts that somebody dropped in the parking lot while driving off, and then they like got ran over and had big chunks out of them. And so they looked even more steampunk-ish because they had big old chunks out of them. Orange, I'm not sure if we're going to do orange or not. Now that we have orange anodized again, the Cerakotes is so much more expensive. It adds a ton of cost to it, but it is a significantly different color. So it's possible that we'll do some orange modals down the road in a little bit. So yeah, that is a possibility. Next bit of modal news is that we will be releasing a batch of, if you follow us on Instagram, you saw that we did some of the divot modals on the aluminum pens where we machined the divots after they'd been anodized. So there was like silver divots in the anodized aluminum. I think there was some orange ones and maybe a black one or whatever. We are going to be doing some of those. So we have some of every color, like orange, blue, black, green, gray, basically all the colors, red, all the colors of the standard models that we have in stock. We're going to be doing like 10 or so of each one with those divots machined into them. I think it's a really cool contrast. I like that idea. In the past, we haven't done machining after anodized because when we tested it, the couple times we tested it, the anodized was like at the edges of the machining, the anodized like was showing like really ragged like chip marks. It looked like chips or like lines in the anodized. So it made it look pretty crappy, to be honest. Like we had a customer that ordered some and he wanted the EDKs to be anodized and then us to go back through and recut the rings on the EDKs so that they were silver. And right at the edges, it just looked like there was like hairline cracks underneath the surface. He was fine with it. Like he didn't care. But I don't know. I didn't like the way it looked. And neither did Bill, and so we've never done it before until we just tested them with the divots, and the divots didn't do any of that stuff. So I honestly, like, it's hard to describe the feel of it. It does feel different. I thought at first that it would feel exactly the same as just a regular smooth grip, that the divots wouldn't make that big enough of a difference, but that's not the case. It actually does feel different. It's not as like grippy or like noticeable as like the frag, because there's so much going on with the frag. It's not that bad, or not bad, but like it's not that. I don't like the frag. Like, it hurts my hand if I write long with it, so I tend to not use it. With the divots, like, it's a noticeable difference than a standard smooth grip section, but it's not like annoying or cumbersome like the frag is for me. And the only fluted ones that I have ever been able to use have been ones that have been like significantly tumbled. The edges of the flutes are just a little too sharp for my hands. I don't know. When I write, I tend to write a lot, and so I don't like that. Like, it just starts getting on my nerves, and I notice it more if it's not like super comfortable. I don't particularly enjoy grip profiles of any kind. If I'm being honest, like this one that's just smooth, like, I tend to use the smooth grip sections the most, because after riding for a significant amount of time, like I feel like my nerve endings on my fingers are heightened, and so any little thing like really throws me off. I had a fountain pen that had like a seam in it. It was a molded one, and I couldn't write with that pen for longer than like 10 or 15 minutes because the seam, like, I could feel it on my hands. I don't know. I guess I'm a little baby or something, but the only one that I will write with a considerable amount of time, that does have a grip profile, is the Speed Groove one. For whatever reason, I think it's because the grooves are large enough, and especially on the Ultem stuff, it doesn't do that to me. Now, maybe I've just been lucky enough just to get some that like feel comfortable. The other thing is anything that has Cerakote over it, the Cerakote fluted or the Cerakote frag ones that I have are a lot more comfortable, because the way that the Cerakote lies on there, it kind of like rounds over everything, so it gives it a little bit of a softer like touch to it. I do like the Dragonson stuff. Like, I have written with those like for quite a while. It's not nearly as annoying as I thought. Yeah, I was in the same boat as you, Nathan. I was like, this is annoying. Like, I'm never going to write with this. And then after I wrote with it for a while, it's actually pretty comfortable. I feel like it's the right size where it, like, kind of like my knuckle, if I'm writing for a while, my knuckle kind of falls into the grip, and it's just not annoying. So that's kind of where we're at with the modal. I'm going to go ahead and like regroup and pause, let everybody know, complete the pinned post at the top there, please, for your chance to win an Ultem Decograph in either fountain pen or rollerball. That's going to be the drawing that we're going to do at the end here. And we'll go ahead and segue into question and answer time. So now is the time for you to start throwing up all your, well, don't literally throw them up, but put up your questions in the chat, and I will attempt to answer them if I feel so inclined. Yeah, Blake, that's the same with me. The longer that I write, the more I tend to like grip the pen. And so a smooth grip section is realistically, if I'm going to write for any amount of time whatsoever, I'm going to probably switch to a Vertex rollerball, because that grip section allows me to write for longer periods of time. Nothing in titanium for the foreseeable future. Like, nothing, Chris. Like, we basically completely paused titanium production. We won't be doing anything titanium for the foreseeable future. It's just not. It is detrimental to the profit margins of our company at this point in time. That's the official statement. Adam, we're still working on the copper modals in terms of like all copper. We just have to figure out how or how we can accomplish the grip, the clip. As we prototype some, and they're just a little bit too finicky for us to do. It's just too. They're not strong enough, so we're just waiting. We've been Retro 51. We've been transitioning to only Jowo fountain pens, or will you carry both? We'll carry both the Jowo and the Bach. So just to clarify, we're gonna mainly still have Bach fountain pen nibs. In fact, there are some pens that won't have the option to have a Jowo added to them. Like aluminum decagraphs might not have Jowo like options in the foreseeable future. Same with aluminum inks for a while. Like the next batch of inks we come out with, probably just gonna have Bach, and then a little bit later down the road we'll add the Jowo stuff to them. Just like the stuff that we're making right now, especially the Delrin and the Ultem stuff, will have the Jowo stuff, and then some of the brass and copper stuff will have Jowo added to them. So we're not moving away from Bach. We're gonna stick with Bach. We're just adding the option of the Jowo to some of our pens as we machine new batches. It's basically like if we're gonna machine a whole pen, including grip sections, we'll add some grip sections that have the Jowo stuff. So yeah. Any plans for Nathan? Any plans for a slimmer bolt or modal? I doubt it. For a variety of reasons. The main one being trying to think how the functionality of that. We'd have to change functionality dramatically for the upper on the Ultem because of the way that the slider works. And I don't foresee us doing that. There may be the option of like adapting a retract lower with a modal upper, but we haven't looked at that. It's just not. Anything slimmer than the Bolt is not it does not sell nearly as well as we expected it to. So our slim pencils, which are closer to the size of most regular pencils and mechanical pencils, sell significantly fewer units than the standard size pencils. And the Retract sells significantly fewer than Bolts or EDKs. So we probably won't do that in the short term. If there is, again, depending on the market for pens, we may add something when we see the uptick in sales again. But as of right now, it's probably not going to happen. Scott, earlier in the year you mentioned a completely different model fountain pen. Any update on that? So Josh and I have sat down and talked about first steps. We've looked at some design features in terms of external design, and he's worked a little bit on the programming of it, but that's about as far as we've gotten on it. It's still something that we're working towards, but I don't know how far we're going to get. Right now we're down a machinist, and we have some job shop work that's taking precedence over doing prototyping. So there is some of that stuff going on. So it's still there. We haven't stopped it. It's just kind of on pause right now, or slower potentially, really, is the big thing, is just slow because Josh is a little bit busier. The first portion of it is just kind of like, hey, here's like he and I sat down and I was like, hey, this is kind of like what I'm looking at in terms of like the design features. And using these elements, can we like do like a one-off mock-up? Can you like put some stuff in there and start tinkering around in Fusion 360 or SolidWorks and make something that kind of looks like it adds, you know, this and uses that and has this functionality? And so that's kind of where he's at now, is kind of designing that in our software. Oh, so Adam, we actually haven't made any of the uppers. We've made very few uppers in copper, so we do have plans on machining more copper uppers for the pocket modals. We just the machine just has to get back around to doing the pocket modal uppers, so we'll have more of those. Low pan vertex grip sections. I have 3 colors in the. I have the, whatever the color is, the light green color. I'm drawing a blank. The Coke bottle light green. I have a batch of those. I have red, and I have a test batch of pink that we did. We did like 1,000 pink grip sections, and so I have pink vertex grip sections, like a hot pink, or I don't know what I like, because I don't know, they're pink. So those are the 3 colors that I currently have, that once we have the machine free that has that size of collet, we'll go ahead and start machining those. So those 3 will be back in stock. I don't have the other colors yet. Sean, regarding the Bolt V2, can you actuate with just your thumb? Do you have to use your thumb and index finger? Okay, so when you say you, so here's the thing. I can actuate the bolt with my thumb. I actually don't have one. I do have one in here. So yes. I don't know if it's even. I can actuate this with my thumb and forefinger. My uncle and my cousin cannot actuate the bolt knob with their thumb. They have to use their thumb and forefinger at the same time. So it is not dependent upon this. The way that it's machined, it almost draws you into. Gosh, I wish I can't really see if like this will. See, even if I just push it in, it guides it in there. But some people, like, I don't know if it's just basic hand-eye, just coordination wise, they just can't do it. So there is that reason that there are some people that can't do it, like, surprisingly enough. So yes, you can. Yes, people can. It can be done. Can you do it? I can't answer that question, unfortunately. You should be able to do it with the way that the J is shaped now. Since we've dramatically changed that, we've had 3 different versions of that slot. And the 3rd version is this latest version, which is a relatively, like, it doesn't bottom out until it's pushed halfway through there, and unless you get like a manufacturer's defect, like if you get one that's defective, where like it's not machined correctly, it won't go. It'll back off and go backwards unless you really push it. The regular ones that work properly go and work. All right, let's see. No Stravinci, planning any blackout pens. Yeah, we're gonna have more modals, probably more bolts. I want to do more aluminum vertexes. I just don't have any right now. But yeah, we'll be doing more of those in the future. Church Boy, any plans to bring back a box set of writing instruments was available in 2018 to mention a reason. I don't know that we're going to do that set. It's possible that we'll do an updated set. That's a good idea. I'd like to do a set that has like a couple different pen options, basically. Something that's a little less expensive than that version. That version was extremely expensive. I don't even remember how much. Like the box alone was really expensive. We only had 10 of those sets available, but I'd like to do something where it's like a 3-pen set and a 4-pen set, and then potentially like a all-pen set that has all of our currently available pens. But I just don't know how we would do that. So I don't know for sure. Yeah, Ish, you missed the Ultem inks. You missed Ultem inks. An ultimate set? That's funny. I mean, it would just, right now, it would just be Vertex's, Decagraphs, inks, and modals. So I don't know if people would buy those. Thought about knurling the knob on one of my bolts. That's up to you. It's not something we're going to do. Just not like this one has texture on it. This is a titanium one that we textured. And I don't use it very often because it's annoying. It is annoying. I do not a fan. Not a fan. So let's see. Colin, Paul can rub his stomach and pat his head at the same. Actually, Colin, I'm extremely like clumsy, and I do not have really good hand-eye coordination. I cannot rub my stomach and pat my head at the same time. I can't. There's sometimes where I cannot walk in a straight line, and as sober as a judge or a priest or whatever, like anybody, like as sober can be, and I'll trip over my own 2 feet. So yeah, so the fact that I can like actuate it with just a thumb, and even could do that with the other versions that was literally like not a J slot, it was like it came down and you had to push over and then came up, like it was like a freaking square notch in there. Yeah, that's Nikon guy. Yeah, that's exactly the case. The V1 had like a very like clunky. You know, so there's a reason that we made changes to the V2 versions. Anyway, so we might do a box set. I don't know. It just depends on, it just depends on a lot of different things. Please, I'll just remind everybody one more time. Please fill out the form so you'll be entered into the drawing. If you guys have any more last minute questions, let's go ahead and get them out there. It is like extremely hot in here. I'm sweating like crazy, even though the air conditioning's on. I'm not trying to like run out of here. I'm just letting you know. I don't want to miss anybody, and I know sometimes I don't mention it enough to fill out the form. So I don't know if we'll do a box set or not. It's possible. If we do a box set, the box might not be something as in-depth or crazy as that first one that we did. No, Eric, you do not need to be present to win. Once you've filled it out, if you're not here, I'll get your information from you later. So if you're not here, you don't have to worry about don't have to worry about it because I have your email address in there. So Knox modals, that might not happen. I'm not going to say no, but just if you've ever messed with a Knox bolt, you'll know that the functionality of the actual knob, it gets really messy and difficult to actuate in there. And I think it will be even more dramatic in a Knox modal than in the bolts. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It's a good question. I should send some out to test soon, since I do have some that we could potentially send over to him and have him like do a little batch of, and we can figure it out. The other thing is just with his etching, how it changes the shape of where the clip goes in, because there's a T slot that this goes into besides threading to kind of hold it in place so it doesn't move around a lot. And if that etching like etches away any of that and makes the clip not function properly, those are the two main issues with this pen specifically that might prohibit it from being turned into a Knox pen. But we'll see. I'll send some out to him to see if he can do it. All right. Any last questions before we do the live stream drawing? Oh, let me go get that blue cube and I'll be right back. This one doesn't have inserts put into it yet, but somebody wanted to see the blue cube, so there's a blue cube. I don't know what you wanted to see. Was that Chris that you wanted to see it? Any plans for any limited edition pen models with screen printed on it like the UFO alien one? I think we might be doing a little green pen alien modal or pocket modal, and then we do have plans to do I don't know how else you want to see the cube, but there's more of the cube. I think we do have plans to also do a return to the Camp Kara series, do like another like outdoor series stuff with I think we're gonna do, instead of notebooks, we're gonna do sticker sheets and postcard sets and stuff like that. So that's gonna be something else we do. So all right, has everybody completed the sign up form? Because if you have, it's time to get on to it. That is not the correct button. Sasquatch, I don't know that we're gonna do Sasquatch. That was kind of like the unofficial theme of the Camp Karis Part 1. The unofficial theme of the current Camp Karis is bears. So we might be doing bears instead. Maybe Sasquatch shows up as a surprise. Maybe not. I don't know for sure. I haven't decided yet. So you'll have to wait and see. All right, let's see here. Sort that. Go through the list. Last call for people to sign up for the giveaway. Last call. All right. Here we go. Here we go. Copy. Paste. You don't need to see it. You can keep looking at the blue cube. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Simon. Simon Relic. I don't know if you're in here. You are the winner. Congratulations. I have your email address, and so you can, if you're in here, you can email me and say, hey, I won, send me my stuff, or I'll sue. If you're not in here, I'll just remember to email you and ask for your shipping information. So yeah, there we go. There we have it. There we have it, Simon. Mr. Simon. Simon says, do you want, yeah, you can let me know if you want a fountain pen or a rollerball when you email me. Email paul@karascustoms.com. I'll get back to you. With all that good stuff next week. Any other last minute questions before we shut her down? See you later, Retro. Have a good one. All right, I guess that's it. Thank you guys for being here and spending time with me. Hopefully I answered some of your questions. I do need to do a shop tour at some point in time, so I'll have to figure out how to do that. Because I've, like, every single week that every single time I ask for your guys' opinions, or like, what do you want to see? It's like multiple videos of, we want to see the shop, take us around the shop. So I will figure out how to do that with my phone as opposed to being with this computer. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. But anyway, yes, that's coming up at some point. Just send me a reminder. Otherwise, thank you for being here. Enjoy your weekend. I really appreciate you guys being here with me. If you have any questions that you forgot to ask or have something on your mind, you can always email us, post a comment in the video after it's finished, in the live stream video, or you can contact us on any of our social media. As always, I appreciate you guys being here with me and spending some time with me. Otherwise, I would be talking to a camera, and that's extremely boring to just be me and the camera, and a little bit depressing the more I think about it. But thank you so much. I appreciate it. Talk to you later. Bye.